Oh, I know what's missing. Hi, good morning, sisters. Let me just, I'm going to put another light on here. There. Okay, good morning, good morning. Blessed Sunday to you, sisters, wherever you are in the world. I'm really grateful to be here today. As many of you know, I was away for a short spell, and it was really, really wonderful. I stayed in an earthen building with no Wi-Fi. I did not open my computer for 5 days. And it was incredibly, incredibly peaceful and stress reducing. And I walked in the forest every day. It was just heaven. So anyway, but that's not what we're talking about today. Hey, Pat, good morning. Good morning. So we'll wait for a few more sisters to come on. Hi, Rosemary. It is wonderful to be here again. I'm glad to be home. I'm glad to be back. The only thing sort of the downside really of being in a remote location, completely immersed in nature and with no Wi-Fi is that I couldn't connect with any of you. You know, I have not responded to anything on Facebook or anything. So my apologies if there's anything there. I'm going to have to catch up this week. But other than that, you know, just to really get away from the electronic devices was super, super nourishing for me, and I highly recommend it. So let's see who else is here. Hey, Petra, good morning. Hi, Amy. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so we are at Sunday, October 18th in the morning here in Sedona. And I'm excited about what I have to share with you today, creating a sacred life in a 3D world. And I already had some inklings of what I wanted to share, and then I pulled some cards and it made it very obvious. So I'll be sharing all of that in a few minutes. So let's begin by grounding and centering. Hi, Monica, welcome from Norway. Good to have you here. Trouble with the video. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Pat. Would anyone else please let me know if there's trouble with the video? Amy, you are too. I wonder if we should start over. What do you think? Should we start over? I mean, I don't have a lot of, you know what, let me do this. I'm going to turn off. Sometimes when I have my Gmail on, there's a problem. So I'm turning off all of the Gmail and all of my other tabs. I'm going to turn that tab off too. I had to start the video again. I went away and started again, and I'm now in. Okay. And how is the video? Hey, Inga. Hi. Welcome. How is the video working now? I've removed all the other tabs that I'm running. So yes, Rosemary says yes. Okay. So let's give it a go with this one. We're not doing a guided journey today, but I do want to start with a grounding and centering. So go ahead. I invite you all to go ahead and get yourself comfortable. Spine straight, sitting upright or laying down. Okay, Amy says it's working now. Pat says it must be her computer. Okay, thanks. Thank you, sisters. I love seeing all your names here. I can't wait till the day when we can hug somewhere. It's going to happen. It'll happen somewhere, somewhen. But our souls are hugging now. So let's gather our energy together for a little grounding and centering. And then we're going to talk about creating a sacred life in a 3D world. So go ahead, and if it's comfortable to do so now, close your eyes. You're already spine straight. Begin by taking a nice deep breath into the heart space, opening up the chest to receive the breath of life, allowing that breath to flow into the heart. And now as you exhale, let that energy just circulate all over your body, your energy and physical body, in order to receive that nourishment in every single cell. Mm. And again, breathing in, drawing that light and life force energy into the heart, expanding the chest to really receive the love and the light of this life. And then exhale to let that energy circulate all through your being, nourishing you in spirit, mind, and body. And one more breath in, drawing the breath in into the heart. Now we're going to drop it down and take with it on the exhale, release everything out the root. Whew. Everything that could be a distraction to this time together. Good. When you're ready, open your eyes. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome again. Welcome, Allison. Welcome, Victoria. Rosemary says, it will happen. You seem to be frozen again. Am I frozen still? Will you all let me know? I see a lot of people dropped off the call, so I'm wondering if I need to start over. Would someone who's still here, if anyone's still here, let me know the status of what you're experiencing here with me? Am I coming in clear? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Am I frozen? We could go together, replying to Rosemary. Yeah, it seems like I'm a little concerned. Let's see, still here. I'm still here. You're still here. You are back. I refreshed. It's working. Okay, great. Sorry about all of that sort of hiccup to start. Technology, right? It's a blessing and a challenge as well. Pat says still good. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so I want to... Okay, so Victoria says it freezes. I can see and hear you now, but it did freeze again. Okay, you know, who knows? Who knows how these things work? But I want to dive into the topic today because I got really excited about this. Creating a sacred life in a 3D world. And there's a lot I can say about this. And of course, those of you, I think a lot of you will be joining me for Priestess Alchemy this week, where I teach those things and or teach my practices. But I want to, as usual, kind of tune in first so that I can really bring forth a message that's coming through me rather than my own ideas. So give me a moment here as I connect into the topic, creating a sacred life in a 3D world. Okay, when we begin our journey back to God, back to Goddess, back to the divine, we begin to recognize that all life is sacred in the sense that we are divine, eternal beings having an experience. And when we begin to reconnect with our own divine nature, our true divine natures, we recognize that all that we experience can be experienced as sacred, no matter what its challenge may be. And how do I want to say this? There's a lot I want to say. I feel like the floodgate, there's like all this pressure to bring this forward, but I don't want to overwhelm. It doesn't matter, in a sense, what we do in terms of our 3D reality. We could create altars all over our house. We could wrap ourselves in the most beautiful accoutrement of the priestess. You know, like I'm wearing this really pretty dress I got today with these beautiful sleeves, and it's a long dress and it feels very priestessy. That's why I wore it. And I have my sacred Earth Mother Gaia Venus of Willendorf necklace and my jewelry. We can make altars all over the house. We can smudge everything. We can do all kinds of things. And those things in and of themselves are not what creates a sacred life. Those are enhancements to create an atmosphere that is pleasurable to us. So some of the most spiritually devoted people I know, they don't have crystal altars and smudge all the time or anything. But what they do have is a sacred practice that is deeply connected with the divine. And in that, they recognize, of course, that we are all divine beings. And so their practice is more about the spiritual disciplines of clearing the mind of the obstructions to love's presence. In other words, the return journey to our divine natures. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to the cards and let them unpack this a little bit more so that I stay clear and on track. So I shuffled the decks. I have two decks here, and I asked, so okay, creating a sacred life in a 3D world, what needs to come forward? And I already knew what I wanted to talk about, which is forgiveness, because honestly, we can live the lifestyle of a priestess, a light worker, whatever, and if we have a lot of unforgiveness in our mind toward ourselves or others, we are a walking hot mess, basically. So I shuffled and shuffled, and what did I get? Sure enough, the Six of Fire, forgiveness. This is Jupiter in Leo. Jupiter expands whatever it touches. Leo is the sign of the heart. So that expansive, loving, compassionate, forgiving heart, and this goddess here with her hands open has that sacred heart with a chain around it. And it's about breaking the chains of the heart that keep us from being the love we wish to see in the world, being the Christed consciousness of compassion. And the chain, of course, is unforgiveness. When we hold unforgiveness toward ourselves or others, when we hold judgment, attack, all of that stuff, it doesn't matter what the lifestyle is. It doesn't matter how much you look like you're living a spiritual, sacred life. If you're holding those negative energies of resentment, bitterness, unforgiveness, fear, judgment, attack, again, toward yourself or others, then you're not a vibrational match to what is most sacred and divine within you. It doesn't mean that you don't have it within you. It's just you are in what Jesus often calls the split mind or schizophrenia. So we have a kind of split mind here in our human condition. We have the divine mind, the connection to the divinity, but most of humanity, as we know, is totally disconnected from that. They're in the ego mind. Sometimes even to a point of being completely atheist, where they don't believe in God and they don't believe in the divine and they don't believe there's any purpose. They're totally in the science mind. So the mind is split. And one of the things we are doing here on Earth is getting over the schizophrenia of a split mind by gradually, through sacred practices, doing the work of love, compassion, and forgiveness in order to really hold that Christed consciousness again. So I want to create an illustration here. Have you ever seen like a movie, or maybe you experienced in your personal life, or understand the archetype or the stereotype archetype, I'm not sure which one, of the holier than thou priest or minister who's very smug and very judgmental of others and thinks that he is all that? So if we go back in European history to the time of the early Renaissance, the late Middle Ages, early Renaissance, a book was, Pope Innocent VI gave permission to these two German guys, Engels and Sprenger, I forget their names, to write a book called the Malleus Maleficarum, The Hammer Against Witches. And it was the second book to be mass produced by the printing press. The first was the Bible. And Kramer and Sprenger, that's their last names. So they wrote this book, it got mass produced, and all over Europe, these holier than thou priests and ministers and inquisitors went around using this book as a guidebook for torture of women and children and sometimes men because they accuse them of all kinds of deviations by cavorting with the devil. So there they were on their pulpits with all their religious fervence and their fire and brimstone and their holier than thou, while they were busy murdering and torturing, or permitting murder and torture, and the usurpation of people's. So anyone who got accused of being a witch, it was you're guilty until proven innocent. They got put in jails or whatever, and then their property was taken away to pay for their imprisonment and their torture and their killing. And we can see these same things. Think about missionaries who would come to the Americas and forcefully convert the native people. Sometimes, a lot of killing, a lot of murder, a lot of torture. Think about the Native Americans in the United States, all of that stuff. This is the split mind. They lived the holy life, right? To them, a sacred life, but there was nothing about them that was sacred. They were absolutely ego-driven murderers, torturers, and had nothing to do with actually what the divine has to share with us. So that's a bit heavy, but I wanted to bring it up because, again, what is it that creates a sacred life in the 3D world, where most people, the 3D world is this. This is the 3D world, schizophrenia. People have the kind face on, and many do good, kind things. But if inside they're running judgment, hate, attack, self-hatred, self-negation, judgment against their neighbors, some people are worthy of heaven and others aren't. That's the schizophrenia of the ego mind. So forgiveness is the actual way to create a sacred life. And it's a journey. It's a journey because we've had a lot of conditioning. So a lot of conditioning to see ourselves as separate, to judge others, to be afraid, all of that stuff. So at this time right now on the earth, we need to, those of us who are called to it, to really double down on creating sacred life. And so the bottom line is clearing the mind of the obstructions to love's presence through the work of forgiveness, as is taught by Jesus in A Course in Miracles, and others like myself, and others like I've referred you all to Tina Spalding and her channeling of Jesus. But so that's like the foundation, okay? But I want to talk about some other more fun stuff, because I know I'm a little bit like a broken record with this stuff, but I can tell you from my own life that it is through the practice of forgiveness and forgiving some people who were very, very cruel to me, that I am living a more beautiful, aligned, soul-filled life. So there's other things that we can talk about. So I wanted to just share a few more like tips, if you will. The discipline of a dedicated spiritual practice. That is like the anchor that helps you stay stabilized in unstable times. And of course, that's what I'm teaching, is sharing all my practices in Priestess Alchemy, which starts tomorrow. And connecting with Mother Earth regularly. And that's the other piece that I want to share here for right now. And I'm open to hearing anything you all have to share. So if you want to share anything, go ahead, please. So connecting with Mother Nature on a regular basis is really going to help us in these times. We are divine eternal beings. We have the power within us to actually create reality, and we are doing it all the time. And when we see a reality that we don't like, we have to understand that as a human collective, we're co-creating because of the schizophrenia, the split mind, and the ego's belief in separation, judgment, and attack. We've now collectively, and fear, we've collectively co-created some difficult things. But individually, in our individual lives, it is possible to create a more happy existence, more aligned with your unique skills, gifts, and abilities, which are different than mine, than anyone else's. And those are based on what excites you, what interests you. And the more you do your forgiveness work and have compassion for those who are in the battlefield of hate and separation, the more able you are, the more clear you become to be able to get connected with what your guidance is telling you or leading you to. So some other things that help: the discipline of a regular practice, which includes forgiveness work, but can include, meditation, yoga, earthing, connecting with the earth, ways that let you really stabilize your own life. And then making sure that you feed yourself. That's what I'm hearing. Feed yourself. And this doesn't mean food, although it could. It means nourishing yourself with the things that nourish your soul. So maybe you love to knit or embroider, but you never give yourself the time because you're too busy. Maybe, like me, you love to dance, but you don't do it every day because you're too busy. Maybe you need to exercise more. Maybe you need to feed yourself more live foods. But this tuning inward to recognize what really nourishes me, and giving yourself permission to nourish yourself in that way. And I'm talking to myself right now. I'm definitely talking to myself too right now. It's the dancing piece for me. And giving yourself permission to be loving to yourself, to be kind to yourself, to forgive yourself when you make mistakes. These are really, really, I can't underscore enough the significance of doing those kind self-care practices. Now, this is not to be selfish, but if we don't take care of ourselves first, and we believe in the old story of the sort of martyrdom of I'll take care of everyone else and sacrifice myself for the good of others, then we're no good. It's like the thing in the airplanes, right? They say put your oxygen mask on, your own oxygen mask on first. So self-care, the discipline of a regular practice, feeding yourself what you love, staying connected with Mother Earth, whatever that is for you. If it's actually going on the earth and putting your feet on the earth and being grounded that way, hugging a tree, gardening, welcoming the sun every day. These things, we are in a physical body. And even though we're eternal divine beings, our physical bodies are designed to be in a natural relationship with Earth, with the breath, with oxygen. This is why with bacterias and viruses, by the way, our bodies are filled with bacteria and viruses. Not all of them are deadly. Most of them are not. So when we use antibacteria things compulsively, we're actually killing off all the good bacteria. When we take antibiotics, we kill all the bacteria in our gut biome. We have to replenish with probiotics after a round of antibiotics. When we feed ourselves food from depleted soil, we don't get the nutrients we need. And part of this great awakening, this great shift, all of this is showing us how far we've come from our natural connection by being terrified of a virus with a death rate of with a survival rate of 99.91 to 97%, something like that. I'm not sure the exact thing. You have to do some research to find it. By trying to force people to put masks on their face so that they can't breathe oxygen. In some places by saying that it's unsafe to be outside. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. To say that it's dangerous for us to have connections when we are designed to touch each other. You know, if an infant is not held, it will die from failure to thrive. Primates as well. So think about that. Think about all of these mandates right now. They're worse and better in certain places. And how unnatural they are for the human condition. Then think about all of the things we've been living with to separate us from Earth. The more we can come back to a natural state, the more we are leading the way for the times to come, because that's what we're going to do. We don't have to go back to being cavemen and women. That's not the point. But to come more into communion co-union with Mother Earth, with each other, with the breath of life, with our loving hearts unchained from unforgiveness, so that we relinquish the schizophrenic split mind and come back to wholeness. So, forgiveness, connecting with Earth, creating a consistent disciplined practice, feeding ourselves what excites and loves us and nourishes us on spirit, mind, and body. These are the things that create a sacred life. And then after that, if you want to create altars, put up, images of deities, smudge, have your, I have like my beautiful little flower essences given to me, or my daily anointing oil, my Isis anointing oil. These are all enhancements to the sacred life. The sacred life is how we live within, and how we, as these physical bodies, commune with Mother Earth, commune with our sisters and brothers. When we can open to the unchained heart of forgiveness and full loving kindness and compassion, then we are walking the path of beauty. We are walking the path of the sacred life in this 3D world. So as we continue to move through these tumultuous times, and we see people leaning more into the 3D, trying to control the outer things. Everybody's got to shelter at home. Everybody's got to wear a mask. Everybody's got to get a vaccine. Everybody's got whatever the 3D thing is. We've got to fix the money system. We've got to save all of those 3D things. If we focus there, and most people will focus there without going in here, it literally is like moving chairs around on the Titanic. The answer is within. The answer is the remembrance that we are children of the One. We are the love. And we just have to clear out the obstructions in order to come back to unchain the heart and get away from that schizophrenic mind. So then the creating of the sacred life is the natural emergence, because it's who we really are. We are sacred beings. And the way that you walk your sacred path is very different than the way I walk mine, because you're a unique manifestation, that's not the right word, expression of the One. And what you love and what excites you, what brings you wholeness, what brings you joy, what brings you into that space of expanded heart and love, that is it. That is it. So let me check the messages here and see. So Inga says she's going to paint more and relax more and train her right brain more. Beautiful, Inga, beautiful. And Allison says, educating ones on the harms of antibiotic, anti-life, right? Yeah, antibiotic is so important. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a medical person, so I just talk about what I've learned for myself. And there have been times where I've needed to take antibiotics for infection and stuff, and I'm grateful for them. But I was really overdosed on them too much as a child. This is a little personal story here. So I had a lot of strep throats when I was a kid and got a lot of antibiotics. And I've had a lot of challenge with candida and my microbiome. So I've had to work a lot on the whole clearing up of systemic candidiasis, I think is what it's called, and using strong probiotics now, and careful with my diet and sugar and all that stuff. So yeah, this neurotic compulsion to use this antibiotic stuff all the time is crazy. It's crazy. Simple soap, hot water, this is good. When we have a systemic infection, antibiotics, wonderful, as far as I know. Maybe there are alternatives. I just don't know them because I'm not a doctor. I don't know, or a naturopath or anything. But this over-reliance on anti-life things, and that there are many, right, including AI, etc. These are the things that are taking us away from our divine natures. That leads me to one of the things that I want to share, and then we'll wrap up for today, which is Wi-Fi. I want to talk a little bit about Wi-Fi. So, the generation of Wi-Fi after 4 is dangerous, extremely. Do some research on it. If I even say those words here, I can get banned. There's a lot of risk there, but without even going there, it's a really good idea to turn off your Wi-Fi at night and get your devices out of where you sleep. Give yourself a break from the computer, from the internet, from Wi-Fi as much as you can. Now, some of you, that's easier than others. For me, I work online. So that's why it was so important for me to have 4 days off in an Adobe earthen home where I was literally embraced by Mother Earth and walked on Mother Earth with no signals near me at all. The reviving of the body is incredible. The electronic frequencies that are bombarding this planet, invisible that they are, impact our energy. And so it's a good idea every day, at the very least, to sleep with the Wi-Fi off and the devices out of your room. And if you can do more than that, that's great. Combine that with earthing, with touching the earth, physically touching with your bare skin, either walking barefoot on the earth, hugging a tree, putting yourself in water, natural water, anything you can do to earth yourself. These things help a lot with all of your spiritual practices because they help bring you back to your essential nature as a human. So I know I'm repeating a little bit here, kind of weaving a few things in. I hope that this has been helpful for you. It's always a joy to be here with you, sisters. And I thank you for taking time out of your day on a Sunday to come and join me here. And for those of you who come and listen later, thank you. Thank you for the way that you are doing your own creation of a sacred life. It is so needed. Your light is needed. The remembrance of our true divine nature is needed. And I thank you for your part in that. So for those of you who will be with me this coming week for Priestess Alchemy, yay, I will see you tomorrow in my afternoon. If you have not yet registered, but you want to, registration is still open. You can up until midnight tonight or tomorrow morning. We start at 3 p.m. my time tomorrow. So, or 2 p.m. maybe, I can't remember. Anyway, you can still register if you want. Either way, thank you for being here with me, and I send you much love and bright blessings until we communicate online and one day we meet in person, I hope. Let's see, we have a few other comments. Even a day out in nature has been so healing, trying to do that more. Great, Pat. And Inga says, you are so good. Thank you. Well, thank you. We are all co-creating this together. And those of us who are choosing love, light, forgiveness, we have a great and powerful impact. Again, I say, we are small, but we are mighty. So thank you, sisters. Have a blessed day. I wish you much love and bright blessings. And until soon, mwah, bye for now.